Good morning, this is Becca. Today I'm doing the VIP challenge started by Chatty Chelby. Question 1. What caused you to be blind or visually impaired? In 1989, when I was 12 years old, I was blinded from a brain tumor on my optic nerve that resulted in a traumatic brain injury. Question 2. In 3 words, describe your vision. Blurry, uneven, yet improving. Those are the words I would use to describe my vision. So blurry in the respect that everything looks like I'm looking through a Coke bottle. The vision in my right eye is stronger than the vision in my left eye. And that's why I say my vision's uneven. It's very uneven because in my left eye, it's light perception with some really blurry shapes, and the vision in my right eye is the only vision that has any functionality in it, but even that is limited. As far as it's improving, since I started smoking weed, my limited field of vision has gotten a lot better because marijuana dilates your pupils. And so when I got my medical marijuana card and started using marijuana regularly, I started experiencing the regular larger pupils. So my field of vision was larger. And then another thing that marijuana has done for my vision is not everybody, but some people hallucinate on marijuana. I've never hallucinated, but what I do see is I see things in brighter colors and stuff comes into a sharper focus for me when I'm stoned. So that's the ways in which my vision is improving, but it's not a science, and I feel like I have less bad vision days now that I use medical marijuana on a regular basis. And I really feel like I said, like my field of vision is getting larger, so it lets more light in. And the light that's let in is actually treated a lot differently. Before, I had a real sensitivity to light, to the glare, and it just feels like that's gotten a lot better too, since I've been using marijuana regularly. And so it's just like, it feels like my eyes aren't going through the same shock maybe that they were going through before I started using marijuana regularly. Question 3, what is the hardest thing to do being blind? The hardest thing to do being blind and visually impaired is admitting that I need to go seek help from a sighted friend. I've always tried to do everything in my life without any sighted assistance. And so when I have to seek assistance, it's very frustrating for me. It's very humbling. And it usually has to do with something I'm trying to do on my computer or my iPhone, and something that's not quite accessible, like an app that doesn't have the buttons labeled correctly, or they're not all labeled, they just say button, that happens a lot on the iPhone. Or I'll be trying to do something online on my laptop using JAWS, and a site won't be set up very good. And the same problems on the iPhone, they won't have their buttons or stuff labeled correctly. So as a blind user, it's hard to navigate their sites. So these are some of the frustrations that I have. And those are the cases that I usually need sighted assistance is with those sorts of things. And it is the hardest thing to do for me, is to give in and go ask for sighted assistance. I'll even usually do a half-assed job on something, as long as it's something I'm just doing for myself, before I'll go get sighted assistance with it. And that's hard for me because I don't like doing half-assed jobs. I'm a perfectionist. Question 4, what is the best part about being blind? So the best thing as a blind person, there's a lot of great things about being a blind person. But I think probably the best one is sex. Because sex as a blind person is phenomenal. Because when you have sex as a blind person, you're using all of your senses, because your every day in life, I'm using my hearing, and I'm using my smell, and I'm using my sense of touch, my skin, and along with my limited vision. And so when you have sex as a blind person, you just automatically utilize all those skills when you're having sex. And so there's a lot of really stuff taking place that feels really good to both people. And as I'm making love to my partner, I can hear every little sigh he's making. I can feel every little tremble in his body. I can even hear his heartbeat and sense his heartbeat usually. And and so I can sense when his heart starts to, his heart rate starts to speed up. And I just feel like two blind people or having sex with another blind person is a really incredible experience. But the thing is, maybe I shouldn't give away my secret. Anybody can have this, you guys. All you have to do is wear blindfolds. So if you and your partner are struggling with like a sex life that's become boring or sluggish and you just need something to spice it up, well, get a couple of blindfolds and wear blindfolds, and then use your other skills to make love to your partner. Use your sense of taste and your sense of touch and your sense of smell and you know what I mean? Do that, and your partner will be loved in a new way, and you'll be loved in a new way. It's amazing, you guys. Question 5, what question do you get asked the most because of your vision? The question I get asked the most is, how did you do that? Having to do with basically anything. Because everybody wants to know how blind people do stuff. And so people just ask me how I do whatever, and I'll answer them. And it can be anything from something like, how did you bake this wonderful cake, to how did you put on your clothes? And that's the one that my blind friends and I get the most insulted by, is when people say to us, how did you get dressed? Because we dress ourselves. Like, some of my blind friends have even been asked, who dresses you? And that's really bad. I mean, it's a little bit better to say, how do you get dressed? Because then you're asking us, well, how do you figure out what clothes you want to wear? But if you say, who dressed you? Dude, nobody dresses me. And nobody dresses any of my blind friends. We dress ourselves. So do not ask us that. That is one thing that I've been asked that I almost punch people, because it makes me so mad. When they look at me, do I look like I need someone to dress me? So, and I think people probably actually mean, how do you pick out your clothes and stuff? But the way they ask it comes off really shallow and rude. Question 6, do you use a cane, a guide dog, or neither? As a blind person, I have a white cane. I've been a cane user since 1997 and went blind in 89. But I've been a full-time cane user since 1997. I did consider getting a guide dog, and I looked into it extensively. There was a lot of extra work involved, and I felt like my cane was just better for me with my lifestyle. Question 7, what piece of advice would you give to somebody whose life is being impacted by blindness? One piece of advice I would give to somebody whose life is being impacted by blindness for the first time is, do not fight against the cane. You need to embrace the cane and just do it. And don't do the whole, oh, I have some vision, so I don't need the cane. If you are limited, if you meet the requirements for legally blind, which I believe is 20/400 or less vision, then you need to use a cane, dude. And believe me, you'll be happier when you do, because once that cane becomes part of you, you'll be free to go do what you want, and you'll no longer be dependent on anybody. Question 8, what advice would you give to a sighted person about interacting with a person who is blind? Something I would recommend to sighted people who see blind people out and about, who want to interact with those blind people, I would recommend that the sighted people approach with caution and make sure and verbally introduce yourself before you touch us, please. And a good way to verbally introduce yourself would be, hi, my name is so-and-so. Can I help you with anything? And that gives me, as the blind person, the opportunity to say, oh, yes, I could really use some assistance with such and such. Or the next option, oh, no, thank you, I've got it handled, but I really appreciate the offer. Okay, now let me tell you, I have known disabled people who are rude when people offer them help, and that is the wrong way to handle it. You always need to be friendly and pleasant when you refuse assistance from somebody. But people who are offering assistance also need to offer it with respect. Question 9, why did you join YouTube or start a YouTube channel? I started my YouTube channel because I wanted to use communication to help people, to open up the lines of communication between each other and to help us understand each other and learn more about each other, because I think that's the root cause of a lot of our problems in America, is just lack of information and lack of open communication. We've been told for a long time that we need to be scared of each other for one reason or another, or our neighbors are different from us, so we need to stay away from them. And I think that's wrong. I think we're all Americans, we're all human beings, and we just need to, realize that. Question 10, what 3 people are you nominating to do the challenge next? I nominate Tiffany Armstrong, Sharonda Whitegood, and Norman Nilsson to do the VIP challenge next. And let me know if you guys would like help with your videos. Thank you for watching Becca's World. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel.